Hi, welcome to episode 11 of Music is None of Our Business with, what was my name? MC Numbnuts, was it? And you were Jungle Face Jake? Is that
I've forgotten about that.
That was from the guys from the greatest playlist ever. That was Brooklyn Pete and DJ Substance, who often have mentioned us again. Had a really nice chat about us, and then they started going on about. They kind of did what we do in that instance. They started talking about us, then started waffling on about record shops, and had a great chat. It was really good. So I've voted on a couple of their programs for the best singles on the particular program. I think I voted for Husker Du on one, and I actually had to vote for Pink Floyd on it because it was Wish You Were Here.
Oh goodness me, that must have hurt.
It did, yeah, but it was Wish You Were Here, so it is one of my favourites.
Oh wait, it's great.
So I also, while I'm thinking about it, things I learned over the last couple of weeks. If you listen to this episode or any of the last two, I think. I've now found out how to link the playlist to the episode. So if you scroll down, you should be able to see this week's playlist on there, so you can click straight on it. That was one. I've also found that if I do videos on Instagram, traffic goes up on the on the podcast.
Traffic on the North Circular.
Yes. And so I've been doing a few more videos with various records that I'm just talking about, and lots of cats in there as well. That seems to get a good audience. And you get something like, I'm getting like 200 plays a time on these things. And like I say, every time I do it, the podcast audience does go up slightly. So I think it's worthwhile. And I'll carry on doing them. You haven't actually watched any of them yet, have you?
No, I don't do social media and all that lot, and you don't send them to me. But I can't imagine that it's your natural charisma and wit that gets listeners up. It must be just morbid curiosity.
I think it is, yeah. Yes. Who's that twat with the cat trying to fucking tell us what his favourite record? I haven't actually. It's always Noodle. Noodle always seems to be the nearest cat, so I just pick her up and Claude's sitting there going, "Fucking hell, he's got Noodle again. Why can't I have a go?" So next video, I'm going to try and get Claude in there as well.
Don't start dressing them up and doing scenes from Hamlet or something. Put them in little
discharge t-shirts or something. That would be fucking awesome.
That would be good. That'd get you watching.
Yes, absolutely. So this week we are doing not our top five of our favourite ambient LPs. So I've already had to email Jake once and say, can ambient music have beats? But having said that, I think you can, anything that's slow and chilled, I think is ambient.
It's about drifting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about putting it on and drifting, transcendent.
Absolutely,
sweeping you away to vaporous clouds and so on.
And it doesn't even have to be electronic, I don't think, because one of mine's definitely not electronic. No. And
that's a good job. You've made that distinction.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I've made that because one of mine isn't electronic, and I'm like, fucking, I'll put what I want in. It's our podcast. We'll do what we want.
We can.
Yes. So whose turn is it to go first?
I don't know. I can't remember. But it does.
I'll go. I'm happy to go first.
Go on. You go.
Before we start, though, do you think we're going to cross over at all?
I think there's only one that's a slim possibility.
Yes, that's what I was thinking as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that one of them might. So my first, and also I found that. Before I start, I found that at least one of mine is more of a series of ambient LPs, and I couldn't really pick one, so I've put the whole series in. In fact, two of them. I think it's a weird old thing, ambient music, isn't it? Anyway,
it really is. But fascinating to hear what you've.
So
picked.
My first choice is a series of LPs called the Disintegration Loops.
My number one is the Disintegration Loops. That was the one. That was the fucking one.
I knew it. Do you want to pick a substitute, or shall we just discuss them together? Or
No, let's just talk about that. Just talk
cool.
about the records in the series. You carry on.
I was pretty convinced you would pick this. I think this is absolutely marvelous. It's a series of 4 albums by William Basinski, who is an American avant-garde composer, released in 2002 and 2003. And what happened was, throughout the 80s, he had this massive archive of experimental works on tape, using tape loops, delays, found sounds, shortwave radio, static, all manner of different noises. And then in 2002, he was transferring them from these old tapes, and found that because they were old, as he was doing the transfer, they started to disintegrate, hence disintegration loops. And so he kept them going, and the more they played on, the more they disintegrated, and the more the sound changed. So it was this kind of organic recording of these loops just deteriorating right in front of you. I think he then treated the tapes he'd made from the disintegrating loops with some more effects, reverb and whatnot. And this was the disintegration loops. And just as he finished recording them, he was in New York. I think he was in New York finishing them off. And as he looked outside, was the day the planes hit the Twin Towers.
I think he'd finished recording it about 2 months before, right. And he had an apartment in New York, and he was on the roof, and he hadn't finished the production. He'd finished the recording, and you're absolutely right. He did witness the carnage that was the 9/11 attacks from the roof of his apartment.
Yeah.
Took photographs of it, and,
that's right. Yes.
In the general ambiance of the music, the covers of all of the series of records are processed views of what he saw, so it kind of fits with that kind of desolate bleakness of the music as well. The whole comes together as a pack. But I think it is an incredible series of music, and these relatively uncomplicated melodies which he'd done on a little piano and a cheap old keyboard, and he'd listen to them for pleasure anyway, just to get blissed out to it. And then when he was running them through these ancient old Norelco reel-to-reel tape decks, and the tape being quite old anyway, it, as you say, it started to degrade and deteriorate, and it just really draws you in as these subtle changes just happen over a long time. And I think it is over a long time. Even the tracks across the 4 series, they're all pretty long tracks, and I think that's for me that's a really instrumental part of ambient music, the fact that the duration of if it's long, it really does erase the buzz and noise and the cacophony internally of the real world, and you can slip into another kind of mindset. So what you'll find is most of mine are quite long, and I think Dip 1.1, which is just over an hour from the first disintegration loops, is the one that I put on the playlist.
I think that was my. I think that was the first one I heard. Funnily enough, when I heard them, they were all out. But one was the one I heard first, and I don't know why. I just find it. If I listen to it through headphones, especially, I find it incredibly moving. And I don't know whether it's because I know that it's associated with that, that just apocalyptic thing that happened, or whether it is just the music and just kind of, just stirring my subconscious but it's a fantastic body of work. It's absolutely amazing. And
it's just about to be re-released.
That's right. Yes, a 4 CD box set, and I think a 8 LP vinyl.
190 quid.
Yeah, fuck that.
If you want it.
I think I may well buy the CDs. I don't actually have it physically. I've never owned it physically.
Oh right, I've got all the CDs.
No, I've just always had it on downloads. I've got like loads of FLAC files of it, and I just listen to it. I mean, if weirdly, you can listen to it through Spotify, and because it sounds slightly different, it's a slightly different experience as well. I think dependent on what medium you listen to it on does make a difference as well. But it's incredible, absolutely incredible. And it's just amazing. I don't really know what else to say about it. I
don't know if you heard any of Basinski's other work.
Bits and bobs. Yeah, I usually have a listen if something comes out. I don't necessarily. I think it's hard. It's one of those things where it's hard to actually beat the disintegration loops. It's like we've said previously. Certain people have defining works that are just so hard to top. I don't think it's possible to do it. Bands, composers, whatever. They're just amazing, absolutely amazing.
Disintegration loops are certainly his masterwork, but certainly that's not to say that other of his work isn't spectacular. Similarly so, Cascade, and there's another one I've got. I can't remember what it's called. It's The Sound of the Universe or something. And there's a whole raft of work that he's done that is definitely well worth listening to. And it's not. It's still ambient, it's still electronic soundscapes, minimalist soundscapes in the main, but it still has that same feeling of kind of desolation and isolation. The thing that surprised me, because I'd heard the records and had the records for literally years before I encountered either a photograph or an interview with William Basinski. And you listen to this and you imagine a very stern-faced, pretentious chap or chapess dressed head to toe in black, very minimalist kind of interviews and that. He's certainly not that. He's 67 years old. I think the first picture I saw of him, he was wearing a pink sequined top. I was going to say, he looks very foppish, doesn't he? I always think he's very foppish, yes. Yeah. And I don't know if you heard him be interviewed, but he's kind of like a puppy. He's anything but solemn and pretentious. He's bouncing off the walls and joyful and cheerful. And you just don't expect that kind of character to produce this kind of sound. But it's fantastic. It totally works.
He did a live show in London last year, didn't he? Or was it earlier this year? Yeah, he did a live show, and I was tempted to go. I think it was at Union Chapel, and I just thought, I don't know whether I want. I don't know whether it would. I mean, my favourite music of his is Disintegration Loops, and how the hell would you recreate that in a live environment? And secondly, I didn't want to. I kind of felt I might lose something if I saw him live. Do you know what I mean?
I think it would add. I mean, when you think of it, I don't know if you're familiar with Max Richter's Sleep.
Yeah.
And that's a superb piece of music as well. But he did that, he performed that live, and I think it was an 8-hour session through the night, and the audience were given beds and that, so you could sleep in and out of this music as it just slowly evolved. It's a beautiful piece of music. Yeah. But I think if you're in the right mindset or able to switch into the right mindset, I think sitting there for hours with the extra volume and the extra presence and the acoustics of a room. I think Union Chapel, I've been there a few times. They don't like loud music there.
No.
I think who was it? I think Rachel's. I went to see there on one occasion. They just kept pulling the plug out.
Oh really?
Too loud.
Oh, I took Annie to see Mitski there. She did a acoustic set of her last LP. In fact, she did the acoustic set before she actually did the tour, and it was amazing. It was so good. She's a strange lady, Mitski. She's
not familiar.
Yeah, she's quite a contradiction, really. She's kind of I don't even know how you describe her. She's takes it all very seriously, and then breaks character, has a laugh and a joke, and then goes back into character, into the Mitski character, and
Okay.
But yes, that was really interesting. I can see how
that would work. I think if you're trying to make music that is very has a kind of level of seriousness about it and has a gravitas about it, you probably wouldn't be able to do it justice if you had got a great big grin on your face and flowers in your hair or something.
That's true.
So maybe you do need to get yourself. I mean, you wouldn't go and see kind of Sun Zero and expect them to be joyfully having a laugh and a joke on stage, would you?
No,
I don't think they'd be able to perform like that.
No, probably not. No.
Good choice though. So we got that. That was the one I thought. Me
too. I was pretty positive we'd both have that. And plus, I've just realised we've been talking for I don't know how long. We haven't really had any proper laughs yet because we've been so serious discussing serious music.
Ambient music might do that to you. It might be there are no jokes to be found here.
Are we going to be really serious? Am I going to spend all like that? Look. I'm just
he's stroking his chin.
My chin.
For anybody that can't see, he's stroking his chin.
We're going to be.
I'm sure you could replicate that scene for your Instagram following.
Yes, I might do actually. Yes. This is me stroking my chin. This is me stroking the cat's chin. She'd fucking love that. Get off, bastard.
Like Vic Reeves.
Oh dear. Right, so that was joint number one then. So
joint number one then.
Do you want to go next?
Go on then. I'll go. Excuse me.
Oh,
I'll go next then. My number two. Just finished my tea. I had this
podcast. Was that a podcast sneeze or a podcast burp? Sorry, I couldn't tell.
No, it was a kind of clearing throat because I just had a very hot meal.
Right, podcast. Right. Okay.
I'm just stroking the chin, and here we go.
Yes.
Number two. This is an album that was released in 2006, and it's called Sault Marie Celeste by Nurse with Wound. Now, Nurse with Wound, essentially one chap, Steve Stapleton, and he's been releasing his unique brand of recordings for decades and decades.
I remember him from the 70s, Nurse with Wound. I'm sure it was it 70, 78, 79, something like that.
He probably has been going as long as that. I couldn't say off the top.
I'm pretty sure you probably
mentioned
him to me first. So
I've liked him for decades.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't ordinarily associate the term ambient with Nurse with Wound records. Nurse with Wound records is a terribly often jarring, electronic, experimental, noisome. Hi to the cats.
Cat in camera.
He's caught the celebrity bug now, hasn't? Is it his noodles? Are he or she?
They're both she's. Yeah, both she's.
They never keep her off now.
Yeah.
But anyway, Nurse with Wound, so Steve Stapleton, he's worked with all kinds of different people, everything from Stereolab, members of White House, Coil, Current 93, John Balance, Annie Anxiety, and Tony Wakeford, aka Sol Invictus. Disappointing with Sol Invictus. Sol Invictus have got one of the best names ever. Sol Invictus, the Invincible Sun. It was the religion that Rome had before Constantine switched them to Christianity. Sol Invictus sounds just so good both in Latin and in English, but the records are a bit crap, which is a shame. But never mind. So
I thought it was a fish. I thought it was a fish dish, but what do I fucking know? What do I know?
Oh god. Anyway, so Saint Marie Celeste. It's not very clear whether this is based around the famous story about the Marie Celeste, which you will undoubtedly be familiar with.
I am indeed.
The merchant sailing ship found drifting off the Azores in 1872 with all the crew gone. No sign of a struggle, no sign of any storm. Everything set as if the crew had just vanished into thin air. It's a fascinating and creepy story.
It's in the Bermuda Triangle as well, wasn't it? I think. Is it or just outside?
This wasn't. No, this was in the Azores, and the Bermuda Triangle. It's changed its shape to suit whatever circumstance, whatever commentator wants.
Because it doesn't fucking exist. That's why. But yeah,
it doesn't exist. Yes, but there you go. But anyway, so the record, it may well be about that. Certainly, the music lends itself to that sense and that feeling. It was originally recorded for an art installation at the Horse Hospital in London. I don't know if you've ever been to the Horse Hospital in London.
Not yet. Nearly, but not quite.
Nearly not
Yes.
quite. I've been there before. It's a fascinating place, an old stable, and turned into a horse hospital. Really fantastic ambience there. It's a kind of underground art space now, although it's not underground. It's kind of underground, but overground. Not one.
I was going to say you're getting very close to a fucking Womble song there, Madame Jolie.
Oh yes. Anyway, so to the music. The track is a single track, 62 minutes long. So again, a lengthy one, and it develops very, very slowly. If you put it on Spotify, I'm sure even though I've said that, people will think Spotify's stopped working because it doesn't make any sound at all discernible for a minute or so. Clearly there's something there, but to my older ears, it doesn't really show up until then. But out of the depths of silence, the sound gradually emerges. And in moments, you have a sense that you are on the deck. You are on the Marie Celeste. It's deserted. It's abandoned. The wooden structure is creaking and the vessel's rocking slowly in the waves as the wind and the waves ebb and flow. It is a real sense of drifting, isolation, kind of like the macabre. And over the 62 minutes, the sounds gradually grow and build. The creaking of the ship, the waves, and electronic sounds come swooping through. And even though they're not natural sounds, they still lend themselves to the feeling that this is on the ship and you're there. And these stuttering electric sounds and these unusual artificial sounds are actually part of the pervading atmosphere of dread and despair. It kind of feels ritualistic. It feels like listening to the music is almost calling the ghosts of the crew back to explain what happened, to reveal what happened in 1872. And it's like a lot of ambient music, if you're sitting in complete darkness listening to this, you can feel the energy, you can feel history trying to break through, and it is perfectly unsettling. This isn't the ambient music of Elysian fields and sun-dappled meadows. This is the ambient of an asylum, but is fantastic. It's absolutely mesmerising. And I know it's on Spotify because I now that I realise that we put these playlists together, I do check, but it is on there. Right. But it is definitely one to turn the lights off, sit back, make sure the volume is up, and then just let it grow around you and feel yourself back on the deck, alone, drifting aimlessly, surrounded by history and mystery. Oh, that rhymes.
Well done. Fantastic. Put that one in music.
But it's good. It's excellent. That's my number two, and I think it's brilliant.
If it's on Spotify, does it break it up on Spotify, or is it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Well, I'll have to tag it on the end.
Do.
I'll have to tag it on the end of the playlist or something, and that gives people the option to have a listen or to go, yeah, fuck that, Jake, can't be bothered.
I think there's only one of my picks which is less than an hour long.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, okay. Well, this is going to be a fucking hell of a playlist, this is.
Good ambient, you need to immerse yourself in it. You need to let it alter your brainwaves, and you need to allow yourself to drift to it.
Fair play. Okay, well, if it's a long playlist, it's a long playlist. You know, that's what we'll do. Mine are kind of short. I feel like I've kind of fucked up a bit now.
But what have you picked from the disintegration loops then?
I hadn't picked a track yet. I was going to kind of wait until I actually did the playlist. I usually have a flip through and then kind of.
Okay.
You know,
I think there were a couple of
that
tracks.
organised.
There are a couple of tracks that are about 10 or 11 minutes.
Well, it is all split up on Spotify. It's split up into very small chunks on Spotify. I don't quite know.
Doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. If you look, because I had noticed one that we did previously, Raphael Anton Irisari. That is a one track, but Spotify had split that up. But if you look around, hunt around, you can find the full ones.
Oh right, okay. I definitely will then. Well, my next ambient record is the Campfire Head Phase by Boards of Canada. So and this is where I love Boards of Canada. I think they're absolutely amazing, and
they're good.
It's not completely ambient, but it chills me out. I love to listen to it, and I can just drift off to it. You know, it's got
Is that the name of the album? Because I don't know that album. I've
campfire
got a few
campfire
of those.
head phase.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the third LP, I think. That's the one with Dave and Cowboy on it,
I don't think I've got that
and
one.
it's
I've missed that
got
one out.
oh yeah, it's great. And Yeah, third album by Boards of Canada from 2005, and it is this is it's got so the first two were kind of completely electronic. This one kind of had guitar in it and was and the song structures were a bit more conventional. You know they were kind of mid length tracks like 6-7 minutes.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, I think some were shorter as well. I haven't actually got the times, but what I loved about this, this came out as I said in 2005. Well, it was the single "Day Van Cowboy" came out probably a month, probably a little bit earlier, and we'd just had Lily had just been born, and we used to take it in turns to just so we could get some sleep. We'd take shifts looking after. I'd stay downstairs with Lily until. No, or did we do it the other way around? I think Karen would go to bed and then she'd get up at 2 and come down, but we'd switch around kind of in the middle of the night. And I used to just sit around and I'd have MTV2 on quietly. And at that time, the Dave and Cowboy video was showing non-stop. It was that and one of the first ever Go Team singles as well. And I forever associate them with sitting downstairs with a little sleeping baby, trying to be really, really quiet and, reading my book or whatever I was doing. And it was such a brilliant video as well. The video had footage of the from the 60s or 70s, the highest parachute jump of all time, when this guy went up on a weather balloon and
Okay.
right to the very edge of the Earth's atmosphere and then jumped and parachuted down. And then as it touched down in the water, the video switches to like surfing videos of and it's
That record was just broken, was it? Just a few years ago, and the guy
yes,
that did
that's
it
right.
died
Yes,
recently.
yeah, and someone did it. They went even higher.
They did,
Amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he died. He died. It might have been earlier this year. I think the guy that did that.
All right. And weirdly, when Lily's school a few years later, they did. They launched a weather balloon into right up into the atmosphere with a camera on it, and I think
Not with Lily on it.
No, it had a little frog in there, and they tracked. They not a real one, a little toy frog.
Oh,
fucking hell!
Oh, I thought this is a terrible way to start your child at school.
Fucking hell, yeah, they had one of the kids, and they tied him the blue by his thumbs and sent him off into the. And they followed it, and they made a video, and they put it on YouTube, and it got thousands and thousands of watches. But when the guy who arranged it all was a friend of mine, Andy, and he soundtracked it with Dave and Cowboy, then that went, that was God, that was years ago now. But yeah, so and I just love it. I can anything by Boards of Canada. I could just put on and just drift away to, and as I say, it's not necessarily. Well, this is the thing about ambient music. I class that as ambient music because it chills me out. It does have some beats, but there's nothing hectic about it. It's very languorous. It's very, it's just lovely, slow, chill out music. And I wish they'd put out a new album because it's been years since the last one.
I've got 3 of them. I don't even recognise that one.
I think they've done 5. They did. They've done
Geodaddy or Geodaddy.
Yeah.
Music Has the Right to Children, which I think was an EP. There's something.
No,
to
that was an
Tomorrow.
LP. That was an LP.
Oh, I got that one. And Tomorrow's Harvest.
Yep, that was the last one they did, and this one, and then there were some EPs as well.
Right.
But yeah, Boards of Canada, fantastic. The 2 Scottish brothers live in the Highlands, I think, and just don't do anything. They never release anything. So frustrating. One of my favourite bands, and nothing.
I don't think they do much in the way of interviews or anything.
No,
much,
I don't think they do. Not for decades anyway. I think they just thought, oh, that's a load of shit. I'm not going to bother with that. I'll just bang out music every now and again.
They did have a big period in the sun, as it were. They seemed to be getting talked about in all kinds of magazines and press, and that they were
absolutely,
cover of The Wire and things like that. But it has gone quiet. I kind of forgot all about them, really.
Yeah, well, they did Geodaddy, and then Geodaddy or Geodaddy or whatever.
Geodaddy,
yeah. And then Tomorrow's Harvest, and then that's it. They've done nothing since, and that must be.
Oh, right.
God, 10, 12 years ago, must be. Yeah. Which is, there's a few good, they've actually done some good remixes as well. There's a couple of compilations on Spotify of remixes they've done, which are always good, good for a listen. But yeah, I've completely lost track of what I was saying, but that was number two. That was
good one.
That was Boards of Canada, the Campfire Head phase. Fabulous.
Excellent.
Fabulous.
Boards of Canada, great band, albeit mysteriously quietened in recent times.
Yes. I'm sure they're listening to this, so make a bloody record.
Well, no doubt. Who wouldn't be? Yeah. So my number 3 then is an album called The Sinking of the Titanic.
Oh, by Celine Dion.
Whenever I'm with Rachel and we have cause to go up an escalator, usually in Waterstones, I stand in front. She stands in front of me with her arms stretched wide, and I go near, far, wherever you are, much to the bemusement of all of the shoppers. But it's just something that's ingrained in our relationship.
Do you often get approached by security?
Not security, no, but we do get looked at by people who are clearly perplexed at what the hell we think we're doing. Not least of which is not only can I not sing, but I don't know a single word to the song. So it's kind of near, far, and wherever we are, and then just a load of
always a bonus, to be honest.
Oh, joy. Yeah. Joy. Anyway, no, it's not the famous Celine Dion and anything to do with her. This is an album composed, a piece of music composed by Gavin Bryars from 1969 to 1972.
All right.
And there have been a few recordings of it by the Gavin Bryars Ensemble, amongst others. But this recording, the one that I've got here, is a 2007 release of a 2005 performance by Philip Jack and the Alter Ego Ensemble. And it's inspired by the account of the Titanic band playing as the ship slid under the icy waters of the North Atlantic, and the way that the sound dissipates and submerges in the waters of the dark, cold ocean. And the Alter Ego Ensemble, they're an an Italian unconventional contemporary ensemble that perform contemporary music in unusual ways. And Philip Jack is what's commonly referred to as a turntablist, which is somebody who is working in experimental multimedia and making sounds and samples and using turntables to do it. Philip Jack sadly died 3 years ago, but not before we'd been working with Jar Wobble and Jackie Lieberzit, Chris Watson, Faith Colocchia, amongst others. So some interesting stuff that he's been doing. Alter Ego Ensemble, they've done all kinds of stuff with, from one end of the spectrum, Pansonic, all the way through to Philip Glass. So again, a range of cat's ears.
Yes, she does.
The Gavin Bryars. Yeah, so it was that Noodles again.
That was Noodle, yes. Yeah, Claude's
can't keep her out of the spotlight.
I know, she just can't help herself.
Can't keep her at the spotlight. She's bitten by the bug now.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Showbiz beckons.
So Gavin Bryars, the composer of this piece, he's a British avant-garde experimental composer, and his most famous piece is Jesus Blood Never Failed Me Yet, which you may know, where he had... No, you've not heard of that. It's a fantastic... fantastic album where he sampled an old homeless man who's singing quietly to himself, Jesus blood never failed me yet, Jesus blood never failed me yet, and I'm sure he knows that he loves me so, I'm sure I know that he loves me so. And it's just looped and looped and looped, and he's put this beautiful emotive string arrangement behind it, and it just flows. It's a very long record. One of the versions has Tom Waits singing along with the hobo, the loop of the hobo. It's brilliant. But this is brilliant too. Aphex Twin sampled a part of it on his 26 Remixes for Cash album, which was a blatant attempt to make money from in the easiest way possible. Yeah, well, there's a bit of it on there, but it's great. The thing with this particular version with Philip Jack and the Alter Ego Ensemble is that there's the strings are submerged, quite literally and figuratively, I suppose, in the waters of the sea. They're very distant. There's a lot of surface noise and crackling, which always gives music that really real organic feel, doesn't it? We were talking earlier on about the noise, the surface noise, the stuff we strived for years to get away from. You know, hate the static, hate the noise. Now we recreate it at every opportunity, but it really does work to create the atmosphere. It's got a lot of that. It's got voices on it, distant voices, one of which is Eva Hart, who was a survivor of the Titanic. Distant choirs keep coming in and flowing out, loop sounds switch around. The static itself at the start is just an ocean of static for the first 15 minutes. Right. Nothing else is happening. But it really does settle into you. And again, if you're listening to it in the dark and you've got your eyes closed, it takes you on a journey. You drift off into this world. There's the voices and the submerged strings and the loops come in. It feels like tangible sadness and loss. I suppose a bit like Basinski, you'd saying about how the moment of 9/11 is kind of enveloped within the music and the pictures. This is the moment of whatever day it was in 1912, wrapped up in the sound and the voices and the feeling. And in the whole, it gives this quite plaintive, desolate, fully ambient experience, which is lovely. It's so beautiful. It's hard not to be affected emotionally.
Yeah.
It is split up on Spotify, but you can get the whole 1 hour and 12-minute experience from YouTube, which is a trick I learned from you the other week. If it's not on Spotify, it's on there. So maybe you just drop the link. I'll send you the link, and if you drop that into the however you're going to do it in the playlist or into the,
I can drop that. I can drop that separately onto the Instagram page. Onto the Facebook page. Sorry.
Oh, the Facebook page. One of all these pages and things.
I know. Modern technology, you Luddite.
Indeed.
I've got a feeling I've listened to that at some point, and it just rings a bell, and I can't actually remember when or where, but I'll definitely give that a listen. I've been so ambiented out this last fucking week and a half since we decided to do this. I mean, I'm probably more chill than ever been in my life, and considering that what I've got to do on Saturday, you know, it's like I was like, oh god, you know, I just listened to so much ambient music just to try and get my ideas about what I wanted to put on the list, because I'm a massive fan of ambient. I listen to, you know, when I kind of trawl through the Boomcat website on Fridays, anything that says modern classical ambient, I'm there. You know, I'll have a quick listen, and you know, there's some great stuff. So I did find this really difficult to kind of. It was a tough call to put the list together. Yeah.
I think it's like when we said about singles, and like all these since we started doing fives, it's definitely one we'll have to come back to, because there were so many fabulous records that just you have to overlook.
Yeah, no, totally. Okay, so that, oh god, where the fuck are we? Number 3?
This would be your number 3.
My number 3. So my number 3 is non-electronic. It's from Gardens Where We Feel Secure by Virginia Astley.
Oh,
And I think it's the most ambient record ever made. I just absolutely love it. It was released in 1983 on Happy Valley Records, which was her own label, because she made the record with Russell Webb, who was in the Skids, and shopped around. Went to see WA because she'd had some connection with them. They said no, thank you. A couple of other labels said the same, and in the end, she released it, and Rough Trade distributed it, and it's basically an English summer's day on record.
a field recording, a
It's
pure field recording.
no, it's field recordings, and then overlaid with mainly piano, but some flute and some guitars, treated guitars. So there's nothing, nothing at all noisy about it. And the field recordings are everything from children playing to donkeys braying to a squeaky swing. It's the most wonderful record I've ever heard. I would.
The most wonderful record you've ever heard.
Yeah, it is just glorious. And you can listen to. I used to put it on for the kids to go to bed. They used to sit there and it's just absolutely fantastic. And it really does feel like a summer's day, even though it probably doesn't resemble any summer's day you ever had when you were a child. You get the feeling, and you can imagine yourself. You can soundtrack, kind of events from summer's days in your life to that music as you listen to it, and you can imagine, going and getting conkers, running through a forest with your mates, playing hide and seek, playing down the playground. It's so evocative. You can just imagine it. At one point, Lily loved it, and at one point, on the actual album sleeve, it was there's little pictures of the village. I think it was called Molesford in Oxfordshire, where she recorded a lot of these recordings. And at one point, me and Lily had planned to get in the car and fucking drive to Molesford in Oxfordshire. And then we realised how far it was, so I think we went to Funky Funhouse instead for the day. But
and it would have been pouring with rain.
It probably would have been
difficult to make the connection.
And it would never have been the same. But she's never really released. I mean, she's released odd records since, but nothing quite like this. And the record, the actual vinyl is so hard to get these days. I don't think it's ever been re-released on vinyl. You can get a CD. I think I've got both. I've got the CD as well, and I think she's just re-released a CD now on her Bandcamp page. But I thoroughly recommend it. It's one of the most wonderful records. It's not on Spotify, annoyingly, but one of the tracks was slightly reworked for her second LP. So I can bung that on, and you can kind of get an idea of what it's like. And weirdly,
I was going to ask if it's track based. So there are tracks.
No, there are tracks. There are separate. Separate tracks, and they start in the morning, and they finish in the evening.
Okay.
And it just it's certain each part of the day. And there's a different track for. And when I bought it, it came out in '83, and I think I got my first copy in late '84, and I just moved to Cambridge, and I was friends with a girl named Sue who worked where the hotel I worked at, and she said, I think, in fact, I'm pretty sure it must have been '85. It must have been February '85, and she wanted to get me a birthday present, and she said, "What?" And I said, "I've heard a track from this LP. I really want." So she went and got it. And on the way home, she stopped at her house to get changed on the way to mine, put the record on, got to me and went, "What the fucking hell did I just listen to?" Because she was just like, why would you like? And I said, "But it's fantastic. It's glorious." And she just couldn't work out, why, like 1985 me, who was still into punk and Jesus and Mary Chain and things like that, would like this record. But again, absolutely amazing record. I thoroughly recommend it. If you know,
Yeah.
um,
So it's one to as the winter closes in. It's one to kind of put the floor heater on next to your feet, put the headphones on, and
yeah,
be transported back to an idyllic summer.
yeah. It's kind of I think it probably conjures up visions of a summer that never really existed, apart
Yeah,
from in the minds of those type of people who always imagined that England was better in
yeah,
the 50s and 60s.
yeah.
And it's that kind of thing. It's just that you're imagining a summer that was slightly better than the summers you actually had, and it's all in 1 hour's worth of music.
Right, kind of
But yeah,
stereotypical. Got all of the stereotypical features, put them together,
yeah,
and hopefully have a fantasy summer.
it's very English sounding as well. Kind of on the a bit like the Lark Ascending. Who did the Lark Ascending?
Oh yes,
Vaughan
Vaughan
Williams. Yeah,
Williams.
it's
Yeah.
along those lines.
Oh, that's a
Um,
fabulous, fabulous piece of
yeah.
music.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I often put that on and go for a wander
Yes,
around
it's brilliant.
around green spaces. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it has that.
I wandered into Norwich Cathedral on one occasion, and there was a performance of that to be played the following evening. And I wandered in, and the orchestra were playing it to limber up and get warm.
Oh,
So
right.
I was the only spectator, the only member of the audience to a full performance of
Oh,
like ascending
brilliant.
in
Yeah.
Norwich Cathedral. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Yeah. God, we're so serious and old, aren't we? Oh yeah, there's Vaughan Williams, the Lark Ascending. Yeah, so it's fantastic. Don't you know?
Oh God, we can
Oh,
encapsulate
dear,
the
oh,
world
dear.
of music. That is us. You know,
Yes,
that's it. Music is none of our
indeed, yeah.
business. It's everything.
It is. We'll have to do a country episode.
Oh, well, we stretching it
Yeah,
a
I think
bit.
I might be coffee.
I could manage perhaps one or two records that just about pass
Yeah, I
muster
think
from
I'd-
that genre.
Yeah, I think I'd fail miserably.
Okay, well, that sounds an interesting choice as well. So you're going to put the remixed track from,
Yes.
from a different label. Oh,
Indeed.
okay.
Yes, I will do.
Okay. My number 4 then, a 1995 release called The Dancing Horse by Jliat, which is Jliat.
I-A-T.
Jliat.
Est-ce que tu française?
I've got so
dear.
much, so multilingual. I slip in and out of these accents without noticing. Yes, but Jliat. I think it's pronounced Jliat. Anyway, it looks like it should be pronounced Jliat. But the album's called The Dancing Horse, and Jliat is essentially one James Whitehead, and James Whitehead has a music philosophy which is a bit mind-bending. It ostensibly follows John Cage's anti-music philosophy, where music is anything but the kind of conventional structures of sound that people call music. And I guess a lot of what we talk about, what we've talked about this evening, even with samples and drones and so on, is perhaps to some extent anti-music, but it really works. But James Whitehead, he's taken that to the nth degree, and he's been making music for over 30 years, but he also writes lots of extremely dense, highly esoteric material about experimental music theory. So if you look at his website, which is a bit of a mess of a website, he's clearly slightly deranged, but it's stacked full of these long explanations for the music that he makes, how he makes it, and so on. And he's done some software. He's written software to realise some of these musical theories that he's had. Before we get to the album itself, which I'll talk about, The Dancing Horse, just to give you some idea of Jliat's catalogue. His record, Still Life number 6, is 1/44,000th of a second long, thought to be the shortest piece of music ever. He's got a piece called the All Silences Files, which to listen to would take 7.5 days, and it is silent, but it is not just I couldn't be bothered to record anything. You can read about how he's used this software to create digital versions of nothingness. So it's very esoteric. He did an orchestral piece where the sounds of the violins and violas were replaced by samples of AK-47s and M16s, and the wind and brass was the sounds of artillery and guided missiles. It's a fucking horrendous noise. I
bet it is.
It's extremely loud.
Are you just trying? Have you got to a stage where you think we've got too many listeners, and now you want to alienate me? by talking
this
about
is interesting
records
stuff.
of
It's
silence,
fascinating.
records of machine guns. Everyone's going, fucking hellfire.
Yeah,
Where's Dave with a fucking joke?
It's interesting. He also does quite a lot of extraordinarily long records as well. His longest piece, because many of them would take several months to listen to continuously, but his longest one is called 1 TB or 1 terabyte, and it consists of 233 DVDs, each of which has 73 hours of music on it, and that music is a realization, an actualization of sound in 1 trillion bytes. I've listened to a bit of it, and to be honest, it makes
just a couple of weeks.
It makes Masami Akita or Merzbow sound positively serene, because it is just horrendous. It would take, if you wanted to sit down and listen to it, it would take 1.94 years to listen to it all, and it is just a blitz of sound, blitz of noise.
So when does that though? When does that become irrelevant? Because you're making, if you're making that amount of music, or that amount of music, we call it music.
Yeah, we'll call it music. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's not taking that long to make that music, is it? He's generating that artificially. So then, I mean, what's the point, really?
Well, it's art, isn't it? It's art.
Yeah, but yeah, I realise that, but it's not.
He sold a copy of it. He made one and sold it to a guy in Scotland.
Well, there's always some fucker, isn't there?
But, but it's not the longest piece of music. Do you know what the longest piece of music thought to have been created was? And I checked this out on a couple of different sites, and I've got a book on extreme music. Checked it out in there as well. But it's by a band or a person called Bull of Heaven. I won't try to tell you what it's called, because it's a huge long. The title is a big equation that just starts 310. Right. But it would take 3.343 quintillion years to listen to it, which is 3.343 with 45 zeros after it, which is vastly longer than the time the universe has existed, and vastly longer than it's thought the universe will last. And it just seems to be a single pulsing bass note with no change whatever.
But again, that's, I mean, to me, music is, I mean, I appreciate music that's created on a computer or on a keyboard, but it's in real time, isn't it? You're creating that as a piece of music for people to listen to. When you take it to that art extreme, it just becomes a bit pointless. And I appreciate that music can be classed as art, but when you're just making noise as an art statement, then what's the point? Because no one's ever going to fucking listen to it, are they?
No, I think it is the magic of the extremity of it. It is the fact that there is something that exists that has its own intrinsic artistic value beyond simply a piece of music, and the fact that somebody can justify and create something like that, and it can be owned, and yet it's not to be listened to. I mean, even if it was within the span of time reasonable to listen to it, it is largely unlistenable, either because it's silent or because it is the maddest, loudest, over compressed and distorted noise imaginable. But the fact that it exists, I think, is a great thing. And I think the fact that somebody is creating that kind of thing and doing so with more than simply mischievousness in mind, just to push the boundaries of what can be done, I think it's great.
Yeah, but how is that different than generating AI music?
Well, because a person's created this, and he's he
Yeah, but a
and
person would have
whoever
created
Bull
the
of
AI
Heaven.
music. You know, you put
Well,
it
not
in,
necessarily. No,
you're putting in a
you
code to tell the AI what to do. But if you're just creating a centillion, billion, trillion hours of music, you know, basically all you're going to be doing is pushing a button somewhere to generate it. You're not putting any. There's no kind of artistic input, is there? You're
that's what
telling
it
it.
is. I
You're
mean,
still, but you're
if you
still telling the
read.
machine how to do it.
But I don't know about Bull of Heaven and their quintessilian billion years piece of music because I don't know much about those. But from reading James Whitehood's material, it isn't just press a button and this thing does what it does. I think he understands the theory of what he's creating. I think he understands what needs to happen within the machinery to make it happen, and it creates something that he has an intention to create, and he has control over what's created. Whereas with AI, you're basically building a robot to go off and do something, and it will make its own way, work its own way out. I don't know. I think it's a debate to be had, but that's
but not
just,
here because we're not serious.
We're not
a
serious
podcast. We're
the
here
record
to tell knob jokes and make our audience laugh.
Let's get very serious. We'll get very serious there. The record, however, by Juliet that I've put here, because none of that is ambient. That's just a bit of what I find fascinating stuff about the man that created The Dancing Horse. And The Dancing Horse is his second album, and it is wondrously ambient. It is an hour long, and it is a single note that just holds and sustains for an hour. Now, that may sound a little bit...
I haven't done anything.
I can genuinely truthfully say that on several occasions I have put it on, listened to the whole thing, and put it on again and listened to the whole thing again at least once, because once it starts going, it's a lovely tone that rolls, and you start to hear things happening that aren't really happening, and it gets under your skin and it gets into your mind, and it is a bit like taking mild hallucinogens. If you have kind of some mild hallucinogenic drugs, you know that what you're experiencing, you're
don't
still
take
straight
drugs,
enough to
kids.
know. You know that what you're experiencing
just say no,
real.
no. Just say no.
Zammo, bloody! I don't know if you're turning into Nancy Reagan or Zammo from Grange Hill. So somewhere in between. But
Nancy Zammo. Zammo
Nancy
Reagan.
Just one for the Gipper. But things are happening that aren't happening, and it is very affecting. It is ambient because it is totally transforming of your the way your mind's working and the way you're thinking, and it is. It is fantastic, and you'll be very pleased to know, I'm sure, that whilst it's not on Spotify, the full hour-long album is on YouTube, which
I'll
is
put them
well
as,
worth
as links,
on.
and people can. And if you want to sing along, the lyrics go. So you can join in when you feel confident.
Oh dear, yes.
Oh dear.
So that's
Right.
James Whitehead, Juliet, and his unusual world. Is he mad? Very probably so. But is he a fascinating sonic adventurer? I think absolutely certainly.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I do. Some of those, like you say, the artier side of it does just,
doesn't work.
It doesn't work for me. No, because I don't. I do find it a bit. I find it a bit pointless, really. I understand it from an artistic point of view, but at the same time, whatever.
Yeah. There's a lot of music which is unplayable. I mean, if you look, there are cassettes that have been buried. Part of the production is they've been buried in earth for years, and you dig them up. They're unplayable. And cassettes that have bits of toys molded into the cassette shell, so you can't possibly put it in a cassette player. Flaming Lips peculiarly have done quite a number of records which are extremely problematic. You get records that are made on ice, and all kinds of things which are the very edge of music, but I think they're fascinating. Not because you can listen to them and there's some great riffs and the drums sound good, but because they exist. They're just somebody has come up with this and made it, and it's fascinating. I think.
Yeah. Oh no, I totally understand. I just, some of it's just not for me, I'm afraid. Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway,
where
you're
are
number
we?
4, I think.
Number 4, yes. So my number 4 is another series, and it's called Xerox by Alvanoto. And have you not heard of Alvanoto? I was convinced you'd have heard of.
I don't think I have.
Oh, really? So Alvanoto is a guy called Carsten Nicolai, and he is the same age as us. He's 60 this year, and he's German. And he's made lots and lots of music, a lot of it ambient, and he did a lot of collaborations with Ryuichi Sakamoto.
Right.
And they're all very good as well. And that's those records are kind of so Alvanoto was kind of glitchy. Do you remember in the early 2000s that was glitch? There were lots of glitchy electronic
glitchtronica.
Yeah, yes. So he did a lot of records with Richie Sakamoto, where Richie Sakamoto plays piano over, and there's these processed glitchy electronics in the background, and they're absolutely brilliant. They're great, and the Xerox series is they're all ambient, but they range. They're very. I was listening to number 2 today, and that's kind of ambient with a certain amount of noise. I think he collaborated with one of Sun on there. I think he did Stephen O'Malley on that one, and it's kind of getting these sounds, altering them to make these soundscapes where there are drones, there are kind of actual pieces of music. It's really hard, and the weird thing is, I've listened to all 5 of them over the past week, and I've listened to them so much that they're all kind of blended into one. I can't, and I was thinking, should I pick one? And I thought I'm gonna have to pick the whole fucking lot, because I can't. I've listened to so much of them, it's just become one. And it's kind of
these records. So there's how many records are there?
There are 5. I think there are
5 records.
There are 5 records. I think they might be double LPs. I've got a couple of them.
Are they single pieces? Are they
they're all kind of self-contained pieces. All all kind of similar but different. If that makes sense. You've got kind of digital noise, electronic pulses with like these melodic progressions and textures, and it's just. It's lovely and rich, but there's always at times there's something lurking in the background. Do you know what I mean? But he's sorry,
it's Noodles lurking in the background.
It's that bloody cat again. And there's always something a bit there's always something there. Do you know what I mean? You listen to it and you've got all this at the forefront, but there's always something going on behind you, whether it's like tiny little noises and but great. I think definite headphone music. I mean, I've been playing it through speakers and with the subwoofer, and so there's some good bass tones on there.
Right.
But I think it works best definitely through headphones.
So if I can understand then, so it's all of these then. Are they all oriented around Richie Sakamoto?
No, these have nothing to do with Richie Sakamoto.
Oh, so that's a different thing entirely.
That was a different thing. Yeah.
Oh,
I just happened to mention Richie Sakamoto as an aside because that's someone else who he worked with. But these are him on his own, doing these different, lots of different. Just textures and just to make this lovely ambient drone. And he's also, I'll tell you what else he did. I've got a 12-inch single he did where he did a cover of A Forest by The Cure.
Really?
But basically based it around the droney bit at the beginning, the do do do, and did it and it's like 10 minutes of a forest, but not quite a forest, but with some like thumping bass. I mean, but the bass is very, very low, and it sounds amazing, absolutely amazing. But yeah,
Okay. So it's kind of like the grasslands just before you reach the forest itself.
yeah, that kind of thing. It's a very ambient-y kind of take on the beginning and end of a forest, if that makes
Okay.
sense. Yeah,
No, it
but
sounds intriguing.
I really like him. I think he's pretty amazing. And it's worth checking out some of the. I mean, he's done some non-ambient stuff that's kind of glitchy, techno, thumpy, bassy bollocks.
Right.
All the stuff he's done with Ryuichi Sakamoto, as I say, well worth checking out. I'm very surprised that you haven't heard of him. I thought you'd go, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, not this one. Not this one. Is it? I mean, is he kind of stablemates? What was he? Is he part of the Ninja Tunes or Kid 606 and Team Ryobi
No,
and that kind of bunch?
he is on Rastanoten Records.
Vastano. Oh, I know the
Yeah,
label. Yeah.
yeah.
Ah,
And
okay. No, I've not come across him.
and that was another one I discovered like early 2000s. I had a proper big love of electronica for a while. It really hit some heights in the late 90s, early 2000s. There was some fantastic music around, and I was proper listening to electronica all the time. And him in particular, I was downloading these really good mixes of glitchy music, which I fucking can't find now. There used to be loads of websites where you could just download the sound files, and at that time I'd whack them on a CD, and then at some point I had a big bloody case full of blank CD or recorded CDs.
CDRs.
Yeah, CDRs. Lost it. Cannot remember for the life of me where I put it. And
Is that before you moved into the flat?
yeah, it was ages ago. This was when I was back living with the girls and with Karen.
Right.
And I just can't remember what happened to it. Yeah.
Ah,
Bastard.
well,
But yes,
never mind. You still got the memories.
I have got the memories, the glitchy memories. Yes, but yes, it's very
You've certainly
good.
got glitchy memories.
God, ridiculous, isn't it?
Oh, indeed. Well, good. Okay, well that's another completely new one on me.
Oh.
That's the beauty of this. I mean, it's kind of revealing things that, despite the fact we've known each other for so long, it's finding stuff that each of us have liked and the other have not come across before.
Well, the Rastanoten label is really good. There's some really weird stuff on there. Really weird, proper discordant electronica, and I mean, some of it was a bit like, well, I don't think so, but a lot of it was kind of was really really good.
I bet James Whitehead, Gilliat's got some stuff on there.
Probably, yeah. There's probably like a 3-week LP on there or something, or the world's biggest cassette or something like that. It's actually a house, and small people live in there and just play the instruments too.
Yeah. Could be. Number 5 for me, final one on the list for this, our first ambient session, is an album called Ultre, which is Oltre by Robert Kurgenvan. And Robert Kurgenvan, you're nodding, so you may have heard
I was just thinking it sounds like it should have something else on it. It sounds like his name is like cut off in half. It should be Robert Van Kurgenvan and or something.
It's not Icelandic.
It was me nodding. That was me going, yeah, go on. The rest of his name.
No, it's this is not an Icelandic person who has to finish in the same way. So it's an Irish Australian chap. But he's released lots and lots of records, and in his own words, the music he makes emphasises physicality, our embodied response to sound, and its correspondence to location, air, weather, and architecture. It is predominantly a combination. All of his albums, I've got about 12 of his albums, they're predominantly combinations of field recordings and electronics, with, again, quite a healthy dose of that subtle noise of surface noises and bits and pieces, which does seem to be an incredibly recurrent theme in good ambient music from where we're sitting.
I think there's a sense of it can be quite relaxing, because I think it probably invokes a nostalgic feel. That's how I always think. I must admit, I've got several ambient-y type records with like radio chatter in the background.
Yeah.
And I think you've made some
I have,
yourself
yes,
with with radio chatter.
You've listened to some, good Lord.
I've listened to I listen to all of your music. You know I fucking do, you cheeky twat. And I find that quite there's something quite nostalgic about that as well, I think.
It's like looking at a photograph that's kind of sepia tinted, isn't it? That kind of corruption of age.
It nags at the side of your brains something, I think, and just has that kind of, I don't quite know what it is, but but it's there, kind of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it kind of it detracts from the kind of thought that this is a studio recorded piece of digital music. It kind of puts it into a much more real life, organic feel, and like you say, that sense of history as well.
It's like what the Caretaker did with the 78 records.
Yeah.
And how, I mean, because I know
Portishead and Trip Hop and Bristol.
Yeah, because the Caretaker played all the old 78 records, but I know for a fact that there's more artificial crackling on top of that than than on the actual records, to give it that sense of, you're listening to old. It was like, I think he said did he say he was going for a haunted ballroom type thing? When he made those,
I don't know.
Do you know the Caretaker?
I do know the Caretaker. Yeah.
But I'm sure that it was all about, because originally I think it was about dementia, wasn't it? It was that kind of half remembered memories, and he did it via the medium of old 78 records, and gave them that kind of haunted ballroom with, enhanced the crackling and the static on top to make it feel like it was someone's brain, and it was being heard at the back through miles and miles of kind of unused brain or broken brain, so they were just like hazy memories. I think that was
I didn't appreciate that he actually added some of the noise as well, although it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Funnily enough, last week I bought a test press. I picked up in a record shop a test pressing of an early Butthole Surfers album, Rembrandt Pussy Horse, and I brought it home. It's fucking racked with surface noise and so on.
Yeah.
And you start to play it and think, fuck. But then you listen to it and think, actually, that kind of works.
Yeah. But it's the same with a lot of my old reggae LPs, because I mean, for a start, the original Jamaican pressings were shit.
Yeah.
A lot of them, they recycle vinyl, and you can hold the record up and you can see like little pits in the vinyl, and there's this kind of crackliness overlaid, but it works on old dub reggae. It sounds amazing.
It works better on old dub reggae than Butthole Surfers, but it's okay.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
But you're right.
But anyway, we digress.
So a lot of Robert Kurgenvan's records do play. Kurgenvan Smith Smythe.
Should we just call him Bob?
Bob. Yeah. I don't even know if you pronounce it Kurgenvan. It's an unusual name. It might be Kurgenvan or something. The emphasis might be somewhere else. I've never heard
when
it
you
said.
read his name, was there a bit ripped off the end of the page? That was the rest of it.
It ripped off your fucking end in a minute, rattling on. Get over it. It's Bob. So Bob, a lot of his work has been done for installations. He's been all around the world, Germany, Australia, Colombia, and doing installations, and you can see how this music does work in a certain space. We say, you can sit back in the dark and listen to it, and it really works. But you can also, for a lot of this, imagine walking through a gallery of some description, an installation of some description, because the two are simpatico. So, Old Trey. I've got a couple of versions of this. Old Trey and Old Trey Transparent's dubplate extended trilogy, but it's brilliant. It's as I say, a combination of field sounds and noise and these rolling electronic tones. And unlike a lot of the ambient that we've talked about today, where it kind of takes you to a place of drifting, transcendence, and to some degree some emotional almost comfort, this has a great deal of tension in it. It's It's the way the electronics work more than anything else. The tones that it roll and evolve, they do create a kind of tension which makes me feel as if you're kind of standing at the edge of an abyss, and there is a sense of menace. There's this rumbling and throbbing and crackling and hissing and pulsing, these vaporous trails of sound which scatter and coalesce in the ether, and it's kind of pregnant with fear, or pregnant with the unexpected. You can't help feeling foreboding. A great word. Yeah.
Yes.
You got this sense that something's going to happen, something's going to physically happen. Obviously, it doesn't, and there are no.
Oh, you're sporting now.
Jack in the Box moments in the music, where he bursts into some nursery rhyme or something. Gotcha. Nothing like that happens across any of his records, but they do take you away. They are thoroughly ambient, and one of the fascinating things that I found with Kurganvin's music, and I don't think this is detrimental to his music, or indeed he would be necessarily upset, but I found that you can play different tracks at the same time over the top of one another and create something else that's really interesting.
How the fuck would you accidentally find that out? What?
I didn't accidentally find it out. I just thought, I wonder if this would work, because some of them are higher tones, some of them lower tones, and so on. I thought they each sound wonderful on their own, but they would work over the top of one another. So by picking a couple of tracks, even 3 tracks, and playing them at the same time, you get these otherworldly kind of new dimensions, these new interactions that work.
All right.
Obviously, it's a little bit more dense, but they work as it's a track that you could go out and buy anyway. Maybe I'll do the Robert Kurganvin remixes. I don't know, but
I'm sure he'd be chuffed.
He might do. But,
you did what?
Philistine. But on the plus side, it's the one and only record where I can offer up to the playlist a snippet, which is a full track, which is only 10.5 minutes long. So there you have it. Great music. Excellent. A whole great catalogue. I don't really know much about Bob himself, and I did have a quick scout around before we did the podcast. I couldn't really find an awful lot about him.
That's probably because you haven't got his whole fucking name. You've got that bit at the end that's missing. That's right.
That's it. That's it.
Yes.
I'm going to be talking to my solicitor.
Just try Googling and put Bob Van
something else on the end.
Or something, yeah.
Oh dear. Okay, well there you go. That's my final entry on episode 11. So over to you again.
So my final one is I found this really tricky because it's by a band. It's by a bloke who goes under the name of Casino versus Japan.
No.
His name is Eric Kowalski. Which sounds like one of those names you'd use in a cop show. Kowalski. Yeah.
There was a band called Kowalski.
There was a band called Kowalski, and I think the main protagonist in Vanishing Point was called Kowalski as well, wasn't he?
Right, okay.
And I think Primal Scream did a song called Kowalski based on the Vanishing Point character as well.
So I think I saw Kowalski live supporting somebody.
Oh, right.
Anyway, go on.
Yeah. He's released several LPs, but the first 2 he released were called Whole Numbers Play the Basics. There was the second. The first one was called Go Hawaii. And I really, really struggled to pick one. I've gone with Whole Numbers Play the Basics because I think that's the one I've played the most. And again, it's very much of a Boards of Canada type feel to it. It's got it's a lot of nostalgia, airy synths, but some beats as well. And it's regularly kind of just a bit off kilter as well. It doesn't. It's got that kind of to it. Do you know what I mean? So it's, I
think for listeners, you would have to have seen that Dave's physical representation of that sound to really understand.
There's a certain wobbliness to it, I think. But it's fantastic. I love both of them. High Numbers Play the Basics, as I say, is probably the one I've played the most. Go Hawaii does have a lot of Hawaiian influence. You can imagine being on a beach in Hawaii while you're playing a lot of it, through your
Okay.
headphones. Whole Numbers Play the Basics is a lot more kind of. I mean, it goes. I mean, it's even kind of hints of shoegaze in there.
So,
But it's
so it's
it's
still all
great. And
electronic. So he's not
all
reverting to
electronics.
guitars.
It's all synths, and and like I say, odd beats, kind of, but melodic and lo-fi. And as I say, just that bit of kind of off kilterness to it that just makes it a bit unique. And I've always classed it as a kind of a chill out, record. I could stick it on and just float away, but very much, as I say, in the vein of Boards of Canada. But this was 2002 again, back in those early 2000s when electronica was just flourishing. There was so much going on. There were Car Park. I know Car Park Records put out quite a lot. There you had Toytronic, who featured in one of my little videos the other day. Static Caravan were prolific in that kind of warm. It was, I think they referred to it as warm electronica.
Okay.
And that was a guy called Jeff from Birmingham. He used to put out some fantastic. I think I mentioned him when we were talking about Izan the other day, who were a similar band. They only just missed the list because they made some fabulously again wonky electronics, but very very chill, and again headphone music. And like I say, Go Hawaii was more of a summery, beachy, endless summer type.
That's another
It
one.
sounded.
There's something here. There's two of your records are very harkening back to creating some
I think
idyllic summer.
Yeah, it does. It is establishing that mood, though, isn't it? It's the way it's done, and I mean, and it's like, I mean, it sounds silly, but you put Go Hawaii on through your headphones, you can almost feel the sun. You can almost feel yourself laying on a beach and with the sun on you, and that's the beauty of it. Whole Numbers Play the Basics is a lot more kind of, I don't know, that's more of a general floating away kind of music. Or that's how I interpret it anyway. I mean, and again, people might listen to it and get something completely different out. And I think that is a thing with a lot of the stuff we've talked about today.
Yeah.
You could, I mean, someone might listen to the Marie Celeste one and get something completely different from it than you did.
Yeah.
And the same with my choices. I mean, people might, you might listen to From Gardens Where We Feel Secure, and it could translate to your own childhood, but in a different setting. Not necessarily in that tranquil English village, buttercup fields kind of setting. You could probably get something completely different out of it, dependent on how your childhood was. Not that my childhood was full of buttercup fields and everything, but it's what it evokes.
It's what it evokes,
in you.
indeed. Yeah. For whatever reasons, I think that's one of the brilliant things about music and the music I make. I try to avoid quite often giving titles that tell you this is what this music is, this is what it should mean.
Yes.
Sometimes I do if it's a political thing or something, but the more ambient stuff I try to keep it relatively neutral so that it can mean whatever it means to people. And I think that's the beauty of some of this. Ambient in particular.
Ambient is great, and I mean, and dependent. Again, the whole thing with the crackling and the lost voices. I mean, anyone could get anything from that. You could focus on a sentence that someone says, that's completely different than what someone else might say, you know.
Or hear
And
a
it is that.
half-buried voice saying something different
Yeah,
to what I've heard it saying, because
yeah,
it's not. It's
absolutely.
the very lo-fi nature of these things means that it's not clearly articulated quite often. But
Yeah.
it is interesting that of the vast panoply of fabulous ambient music that's out there, we do
Mm.
have some distinct similarities in the stuff that appeals to us, and that
Yeah.
artificial noise and that patina of age is definitely a consistent one through. I think we diverge a bit
Yeah.
because yours have a take me to summer beaches and meadows, and mine are take me
Yeah.
to the edge of an abyss or to a deserted
Yeah.
ghost ship or something.
Yours take you to laying on a fucking wardrobe door with bloody with Kate Winslet.
Live for wherever you are. Yes,
I think it probably is. I mean, and how much of it, in all honesty, is down to our age? I mean, because we're not exactly spring chickens anymore, are we?
Well, we're
and
not.
we did talk about nostalgia, you know. So I suppose that you know, someone younger who might, you know, listen to it might, it'd be interesting. I mean, and this is you know, for anyone who listening, you know, if you know, please comment on Facebook, A, so we know you're there, and B, you know, it would be nice to know if you know, if you do get anything from these, if there are, you know, if, I mean, especially this one, if you listen to the playlist once we put it up, and you do kind of find something you like, find something you don't like, if it's something that does evoke different feelings or memories than you know we do, it'd be interesting to see if you can be asked to, you know, to visit the Facebook page and just drop us a message. I think you can drop messages actually on the Spotify page as well.
Okay,
and
yeah.
I read those. I've passed some of them on to and I pass them on to you. I just screenshot them and stick them in our WhatsApp.
I've had
chat.
one or two. Yeah, I didn't realise you got messages
yeah.
on Spotify. I could probably see the ones on Spotify.
Well, I didn't for the first few weeks. Well, I did find out. So yeah. Please get in touch. Let us know. You know, whatever. Just, you know, just tell us we're a couple of old wankers or, you know, with shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, don't tell us.
I think it'd be quite
tell me.
interesting to know because as we said at the outset, the definition of what ambient music is a nebulous one. Does it have beats in it? Does it have to be long? Does it have to be mellow or whatever? And it'd be interesting to get some different views on what people see as ambient music.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I struggled I thought long and hard about a lot of these, you know, and is it ambient? Well, I mean, it is to me, you know, it chills me out. I mean, it's very easy to put ambient stroke chill out, but, you know, chill out, I just think has some awful connotations, really.
You got those chill out Ibiza records and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some
which
really
aren't bad.
No, I was going to say I discovered what's that? Smoke Belch. Have you ever heard Smoke Belch by Sabres of Paradise? Yeah,
I probably got it. Yeah,
fabulous bit of music that is. And I discovered that on one of those Ibiza chill out LPs, CDs. I just pick them up. If I see them in the charity shop, I just pick them up, bring them, have a listen, jot down any tracks that I like, and then add them to a Spotify playlist. You know,
yeah, those chill out Ibiza ones and trance multiple albums. I've got loads of them.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you the names of the bands that I like or the artists I like. But you can whack it on and it just works.
Yeah, there's some great stuff.
Yeah. But no, not ambient isn't chill out. And I think one of the things that ambient isn't is background music. I think, you know, like any music, you can pretty much put it on in the background if you really have to treat it with such massive disrespect. But I think ambient music, despite the fact that it's not a movement with necessarily a massive amount of movement in it, I think when you focus on it, that's when you really get the benefits, the joy, the enjoyment of it, when you're in the music, it's happening.
It's definitely headphone music. If you've got a good pair of headphones and you can, you know, and you sit and listen to ambient music through there, because you pick up so much more as well. I think it's easy to just bung it on and get on with stuff, you know. And I know you'll hate me for saying this, but I do sometimes just leave it on the background and just, you know, kind of let it go. because I do find it, a lot of it helps with the old fucking ADHD. It just,
it's medication.
it's there.
It's sonic medication.
It is, yeah. Until some fucker gives me some bloody pills for it, I'm kind of stuck with fucking coffee, and I've been told to cut back on coffee as well, bastards.
Have you?
So
do you drink a lot of coffee?
Yeah.
Caffeine's not great, I suppose. For
well,
that.
I used to use caffeine to kind of help with the ADHD. It used to slow things down because all the treatment is amphetamine based, and
Right.
So you speed up to slow your brain down.
Okay.
So drinking loads of coffee used to kind of bring me down a couple of notches, but I got told off for drinking like 10 cups of coffee a day. So I'm only allowed 2 before 12 o'clock now.
2 before 12.
But since I've stopped drinking so much caffeine, I sleep worse.
Oh, really? But if you've been drinking a lot of caffeine at a certain level for a certain period of time, you do have some kind of withdrawal, don't you? You are going to go through some metabolic changes.
But it's been like 3 months now.
Oh, right.
I still don't sleep
very
well.
Worse.
Yeah. And weirdly, I had caffeine last night, and I had I went for a quiz. I had a couple of Cokes, and I slept like a log. That's like fucking hell.
Go figure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough about my mental health. I just anyway. So that was the end of episode 10.
11.
No, 11. Numbers in chat now. So episode 12 we will be recording probably next week. And shall I say what episode?
You can do. Although it might lend people to rush to their files and say, "Oh, they're going to pick this, they're going to pick that, they're going to pick that."
Yeah, actually, yeah. So I will. Yeah. So next, we've picked a year, and we're going to pick 5 LPs each from that year, and the year is 1989. And when we first mentioned it, Jake said, "I don't know any bloody," and I went on Discogs, searched in my record collection for 1989, 40 fucking records. So I got to cut them down to 5 now. So yeah. So if everyone wants to do a
do their own, play along.
Yeah. You can do a sweepstake, and is it going to be? Yes, you could do 1989 music is none of our business bingo. So if anyone that, in fact, yes. So when we do it, get your picks ready,
yeah,
and see how many you get. See if you pick 10 albums from that year, and see how many of those albums that we pick. There's a good game. There's a good game.
Yeah.
A good game. That's if anyone's actually got to the end of this fucking episode, because we wanked on so bloody long. It's going to be a whopper again. So
well, I've got my 5 already.
Yes, I've pretty much got my 5 as well. So should we just carry on and do it now?
No, because I want to listen to them all again and reacquaint myself with them. But
me too.
I did sit down and think, what records did I have from 1989? And I had a look on my iTunes, and it tells you all of the dates of stuff.
Yeah.
Start
there's loads, aren't there? What a year!
I think there were 5 spectacular albums I've got from that year. But I think pretty much any year. It's an interesting thing to do. Every few episodes, perhaps we do we just bang another year, random year, somewhere between kind of whatever and whatever, and say let's see what we've got there.
We could go pick something pick a year from the early 70s before punk and see. Yeah,
no doubt.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so that was as I said, that was the end of that episode. We've been rabbiting on, so now we've got to edit bits out because we've waffled on. But this is definitely the end of this episode. And we will see you in a week or so. Thank you very much for listening.
Goodbye.
Cheers.